Hey y'all, and welcome to the second recap video for Old Iron Talk. We really appreciate everyone tuning in this season, and we hope you enjoy another look at what we've done. If you're tuning in for the first time, be sure to go back and watch these episodes in full on your favorite podcast platform. Thanks for listening. We've got two special guests on this episode, so that's exciting. Now, Mike, can you give us and everybody a little background on yourself? Where are you from? What do you do? What are you known for?
Myself, I'm from eastern North Dakota, about 30 miles west of Fargo. I currently reside on the family farm that was started back in the late 80s. The house that I'm in was built in 1908, currently doing a renovation on that. In real life, I'm a pilot for Delta Airlines. I fly 737s, and that's what I do. But as you see, this is kind of who I am. Was raised on the farm, started tinkering with old engines way back when. And several years ago, one of my most proud possessions is the 1913 Reeves 40 that was on the farm since new. It was delivered in the fall of 1913, and it never left the farm. Fortunately, it never got sold for scrap during World War II or any of that. I also have the original plow to that engine as well.
Oh, hey, behind you, you've got a big Altman Taylor. What are you working on there?
Well, we had some issues. I had it at Roll-Log a couple years ago. We found out that the original flywheel, the main flywheel, had a crack in one of the spokes. So with the tractor, I got a replacement flywheel. This tractor came out of Montana. Clarence Young owned it. In fact, my E. Rumley was also Clarence's. I got both of those from that family a couple of years ago.
That's a good pedigree to have.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And Montana, they did a lot of. I'm not sure if this was used for road work. It has what's called the intermediate gearing. For those not familiar with Altman Taylors, they had three different speeds of gears that you could order for the tractor. Low speed, of course, for plowing and pulling work. This had the intermediate gearing for general purpose. This would probably pull in heavy soil 8 bottoms. With the low speed gearing, it would pull 10 fairly easily. But this had the intermediate gearings. I took the flywheel off to change it, and then we find out that the pinion gear is pretty much wore. You could almost shave with it. It's quite thin. And then the driven gear, which we have a picture of. This is right here. You see that guy?
Oh yeah.
That's quite wore as well. So we're going to do what we do and change those out. Put some fresh gear on there, or put some fresh gearing on there. But
they were such a good tractor. I mean, you talk to the old timers and they all say there's more Altman Taylors left for a reason, because they were just such a good tractor, and they run so nice.
Exactly. Yeah, this thing purrs. I had some carburetor work done on it. One of the really good carb guys worked on that for me. I have yet to run it with the new carb, but I'm sure that will help. That will help a lot, and it's going to be a reliable tractor in the future with some new gears and fresh outlook on life, as it were.
Well, so you kind of had to do a little maintenance on the old Altman Taylor, but the Reeves, now that was a restoration, right?
Let's wander over there.
Oh yeah, there she is.
Yeah, really just amazed that this tractor stayed on the farm here. Wasn't sold during the scrap drives of World War II, but my father, who was born in 1931, had never seen this tractor run. We figure it was retired in 1928, and then of course, or excuse me, the tractor was retired in 1928, the Reeves, and it was like everything else on the farm. It was just pushed out in the back 40, and it sat there. Probably 10, 11 years ago, I decided that I wanted my father to see it run before he passed. So I started the restoration on that, and it was interesting trying to reach out to people that had Reeves 40s, because there's only a handful of owners of Reeves 40s. At the time, this was the 9th tractor to come out, as it were. I contacted Jerry Taves down in Gosel, Kansas, and it took some convincing with him. He didn't really, I don't think he believed me that I had a Reeves 40, because he had not heard of it.
Before you started that Reeves restoration project, I mean, how much experience did you have on working on antique tractors?
I had, antique tractors of this vintage, none. What I had done previous to this is my father wanted he needed this Farmall Cub. So I got a Farmall Cub, and I was living in Texas at the time. Got the Farmall Cub, brought it back up here. It was not looking that great, so I sandblasted it, painted it, did all that kind of stuff. And at the end of the day, I had probably significantly more money into it than it was worth. So then I thought, okay, well, what would be, basically more, what time could I put into a tractor that would actually be worth something? And the Reeves was sitting there. I knew it was going to be something that I wanted to do, but it was daunting. We started some initial manufacturing some parts for it that we knew we were needed. But that, again, before I started my Reeves, I had only some small engine experience on a couple of hit and miss engines, but nothing nearly as significant as starting the complete restoration of a large prairie tractor.
All right, so we're here at Casa Green. Now we're on Saturday, and we're sitting down today with Charlie English Jr. and Charlie English III, and they are the owner of the 1937 Centennial John Deere D. Can you guys kind of give us a background on yourself? Where are you guys from?
We're from Evansville, Indiana, so it was about a 4-hour drive here.
Okay.
Yeah, born and raised there. Just love it up in that area. There's a lot of antique tractor collectors in that general area. In fact, our antique tractor display and shows started, right around 1969-70. Okay. So very, very good around there.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, we're glad you guys made it down. Have you guys been to Classic Green in the past?
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. Well, that's good. All right, did you guys kind of have any other tractors when you were growing up, or how did you get into having a John Deere tractor?
That's a great question. In 1968, my father, Charles Sr., bought a 1930 John Deere D at an auction. He bought it for like $160.
Okay.
And thankfully, he still has it, and he gave it to me for Christmas a couple of years ago.
Aww.
And being the first tractor out of the thousands that he's collected and bought and sold over the years is a great thing.
Yes, that's very special for sure. That's awesome. Okay, so you guys are here with your Centennial D. What's the story behind that? How did your dad end up with that tractor?
Well, around 1990, he was at the St. Louis Toy Show, and he come across a table with these gold John Deere Ds, unstyled Ds. And Lyle Dingman and Dennis Parker had them there. And the tractor just caught his eye, and he said, why in the world would you have painted these gold? And so they showed him a September 1938 Implement and Tractor magazine article that showed a picture of what was said to be a gold leaf tractor with several people around it, including the John Deere dealer, Josiah Gooden, and the farmer who ended up buying it, G.D. Hancock. So Dad bought multiple toys, and he asked to get a copy of the story. Well, inside the story, there was mention of Kingfisher, Oklahoma, G.D. Hancock, and Josiah Gooden. So from that information, he went on the search for the tractor.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, that's amazing. Okay, so he went on the search for the tractor.
Yeah.
Did he find it?
Yes. How that worked out in the picture, there's several people in the picture that was in the magazine. The biggest boy was named George Gooden, and so Dad was thumbing through a High Plains Journal magazine, I believe it was, and in the magazine there was a Ford truck dealership with a phone number. So Dad called that phone number, and the lady that answered the phone, and Dad said, "May I speak to the oldest employee?" And she knew right away who that was, so she went and got him, and he came to the phone, and Dad mentioned some names from that article, and he said that he knows George Gooden, the grandson of Josiah Gooden. So George and Dad got to talking, and George vowed to help Dad find the tractor. So George had a friend at the newspaper write an article, and the Beecher family saw the article in the newspaper, and so ended up the newspaper came to the Beechers, did a big story about the tractor, and the Beecher family and Dad got together, and the gentleman, Mr. Beecher, offered the tractors to sell to Dad, and Dad went to get it. But as soon as Dad got there, Mr. Beecher decided he didn't want to sell it.
Oh no.
But Mr. Beecher and his family got to be really good friends with Dad, and they talked all the time. Mr. Beecher, we'll call him Senior, ended up passing away about 5 years later, and then Junior ended up with it. And unfortunately, he passed away about 2 years later. And then the family, they got to know Dad pretty well, and they contacted Dad and agreed to sell it to Dad. And so he went out and got it and started restoration right then. As soon as he got home, he started restoration.
That's amazing. And when you guys got the tractor, could you see evidence of the gold paint still on it?
Yes. That's kind of a wild story. When that tractor was sold from the Josiah Gooden John Deere dealership, the tractor worked really hard on the Hancock farm. Really hard. We have pictures of it out in the field. Thankfully, we got some of those, and
awesome.
It was worked really hard. The tractor was then traded into Vythe Brothers Massey Harris dealer in 1955. And the Massey Harris dealer didn't know why it was gold, but knew at that point in time it needed a fresh coat of paint. So what they did was they top coated the gold with new green paint.
Okay.
A part-time farmer mechanic was there, and he wanted the tractor, so he bought it, and that was Mr. Beecher. So he took it home and he farmed with it again very hard. And by the time in 1970 when they stopped running it, they put it in the took it apart to restore it, but they just kind of lost interest in doing the restore job. So whenever Dad went to look at it, there was still paint. One place in particular was on the crankcase breather. There's stacked. There was gold paint there under the fenders. Anywhere that a person that didn't take much time painting, their gold was still there. To get the correct color code, we took a paint sample that was above the drawbar. It was protected from the sun, and that's how we got the color code.
Okay, that's awesome. Now, did you guys restore it yourself, or did you have somebody else do that?
Well, all the mechanical inside and out was done by my dad and us boys helping. And then the paint, we had Joe Hoffman of St. Anthony, Indiana, paint it. We were told that gold is one of the hardest colors to paint. And with this particular tractor, we wanted a base coat, clear coat. We wanted to go all in. And none of us really had experience at the time of doing that. So, this was like 25 years ago when we restored it.
Okay, so you've had it in your family then for how many years?
Oh, yeah. 25, 26 years.
Okay,
Yes.
that's awesome. And how many shows have you taken it to?
You know, about 120 at this point in time. We've been up to Canada with it, Florida, back out to Oklahoma where it will spend most of its life. You know, I hope that what we're doing is similar to what John Deere Company did back in the day, to celebrate the 1837 to 1937 centennial and how they displayed it. And, you know, we're trying to keep it showroom new and for everybody to enjoy.
Yes. No, I think that is great what you guys are doing with it.
Thank you.
Okay.
We're here with Alan Wolf today, and Alan actually had reached out to us, and I reached out to Carl, who we had on a few episodes back, and I said, hey, do you know this dude? Because I had no idea who you were. And he sent me your TikTok, actually. And he's like, oh, yeah, he's an awesome guy. Look up his TikTok. So I did. And that's kind of how I got to know you first. So it looks like you've really grown your social media pages for sure.
I've definitely gotten pretty big the last couple of years as the showing off the collection and getting a fan base going.
Well, that's good. That's awesome. Okay, so we're going to kind of start here. And can you kind of give us a background? I know you had told me your dad originally had started collecting. When did he start collecting? When he was a kid?
I guess to go way back was the family farm. Way back in the day was his granddad had a farm, and he drove a John Deere B literally every day. He did hay, ted, mow, everything. And ever since up until like the 80s when the farm sold out, and then he bought that B, he made sure it did not leave his possession because he grew up on that tractor. And we still have it. We do plan on one day restoring it when we get to it. But from there, I mean, my uncle used to work at a dealership, and he was kind of handed over the dealership, but he didn't want to be a part of it in the long run. So it eventually did close up. But my grandfather bought a couple of John Deeres from there. I actually still have one. My brother has the other one. And from there, my dad was just kind of stuck on John Deeres, and I got hooked on it at a young age. And I guess when two bad things come together, we're both addicted to it, and we're where we are now.
That seems to be a common consensus. You start with one, and then it seems like everybody says they get addicted, and then you've got what you got by the end of it.
Just what's happened with so many of them is they've actually come to us.
Okay.
So many, there's a local tractor show we go to, and usually every time I show, there's about a dozen old guys that'll walk up to me. Hey, I got this old tractor sitting in the shed. Would you be interested in it? And usually we do go get it. Mom's not very happy, but we go get it.
That happens. Okay, so I've got to ask, you sent us a couple pictures, and we've got one with a bee and a crawler on a trailer. Is that the bee you're talking about, or is that a different one?
That is actually my wife's restored bee, which I sent you a picture of on our wedding day that we got married on. That is her prized possession. That was actually the first show we were taking it to. We were taking that and a crawler together.
That's awesome.
I mean, it was also testing the limits of the brand new trailer. That trailer was about 3 months old. So,
well, hey, did it get you there?
It did. Luckily, it was only 15 minutes down the road, so it wasn't
there
that.
You go. We're here with the Lawn and Garden buildings here at Casa Green, and we're actually here with Brandon, who's a part of Lawn and Garden Tractor Magazine, as well as Hatco Parts. We've actually been trying, as we've said, to add Lawn and Garden to the Old Iron Garage database, so that's been a big undertaking. But we will get there eventually. It's just a lot of data to entry as well. So Brandon's got a couple things here, and he's going to kind of explain those to us. So Brandon, I know you've got a prototype standing back behind us. Can you kind of go over that for us?
Sure. This tractor was built at the Moline factory back in 1962. There were two of them built. They were then moved up to the Oricon plant, where they were then basically disassembled, and they built the patterns and everything off of the prototypes. So there was actually another 3 more, I believe, that were built up at Horicon once they took these up there. So.
There's a name on the back of it.
Yes, it says run.
Show that also.
It says run on the back, and according to one of the retirees that was part of this group that put this together, it was actually a stencil from Van Brunt, from the wheat drill, and they just cut it off at the last letters of it and put it on the tractor and called the tractor Run.
Well, that's unique. Now, do you know of any other prototypes like around?
Yeah, there's, I'm going to say at least from different periods, probably a dozen have showed up, something like that.
Very cool.
So,
Very cool. All right, do you have anything else here that you brought?
no, this is it. I did. You can see these are the guys that were still alive back in 2012 that were part of the team that brought the John Deere garden tractor to market. So I did have them autograph this tractor. The reason it's painted red, it was sent out to do testing. John Deere did not want anybody to know they were getting into the lawn and garden market. And so that's why they painted this weird color.
I know. Unique for sure. One thing I'm going to kind of do, I'm going to have you talk about it. Can we go over and kind of talk about the switcher? I know these are unique. It's pretty cool that they have the 2 seats.
St. Charles
Can you
back.
kind of explain that for us?
Sure. This is an allied attachment provided through John Deere dealers. Built by Jenkins Manufacturing. The factory is still in business today. It was set up where you could basically convert your tractor, your garden tractor, into a golf cart. Use it on the golf course, and you could still mow with it when you weren't doing that.
Have you ever driven one of these?
I have.
Do you like it? Is
I
it
do.
different?
It's kind of weird, yeah, because you're steering with your right arm and you're doing everything with your left hand.
Okay, you kind of want to highlight too for everybody with Lawn and Garden Magazine, and we got some new issues out of that.
We are.
And where can they get a subscription, or how do they subscribe?
Well, they can go to LAGT.com and or online, or they can call us at 812-985-0828.
All right, so we're here at Half Century of Progress, and today I'm with Terry Ingerly, and he is the owner of this Caterpillar Rogue tractor. He's going to give us a little rundown on it. Terry, where are you from?
North Central Missouri, a little town called Dalton.
Okay. And how did you find this tractor?
Actually saw it it was on Craigslist, but a guy shared it on a Facebook page.
Really? Okay. And how long have you owned it?
I bought it the summer of 2020, summer of 2020, like July 2020.
And what was the condition when you bought it?
Just like this.
Just like this. Okay. So have you done any work to it, or not a ton? Okay, not a ton. All right. Can you give us kind of the history behind these tractors?
Well, I don't know a bunch of it, but Rome made them from like 70, 76 to 84. And the 475 was the bigger one. And I don't exactly know how many they produced. I've heard right around 200, and then I've heard only like 150. This one is a 79, and the serial number is 141, and I'm assuming that's number 41.
Have you seen any other in your lifetime?
In person, no.
Is that pretty rare?
Yes, they're pretty rare.
Is this your first Half Century of Progress, or have you came before?
The first time I came was in 2019, and then we came back out in 21, but this is the first time ever bringing anything.
First time you've ever brought anything, okay. And have you used it since you've been here so far?
No, it hasn't done anything since it's been here. We're busting the hydraulics on. But if we get it fixed, it's going to plow.
You're going to plow with it?
Yep.
Okay.
We brought plows to plow with it.
Did you?
Yep.
How big? What are
The pair of 6-bottom John Deere 3100s in tandem. They're Tom Renner's plows.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. Do you have any plans the rest of the year to take it anywhere? Or
No, it won't go anywhere this year.
Okay.
Next year, it'll probably go back to Belleville to Tom's show.
Okay.
When he does his show in 24.
Do you own anything else? Do you have
Nothing-
anything else
nothing
in your
cool.
collection? Nothing cool. Okay.
Nothing cool. I've got a 895 Series 2 Versatile that's got a twin disc power shift in it. They didn't make a whole bunch of those with a power shift in it.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's coolish. It's not Rome cool, but
No.
you got to start small.
You do. Do you have plans to do anything to this tractor, or do you like the condition that it's in?
I'd like to paint it one of these days. It's a lot to paint, but and I use it. I've probably put 300 hours on it since I've had it. Pull scraper pans with it a little bit, and then do tillage work with it.
Okay.
I don't farm a lot, so it doesn't take long, but no, it gets used. It's a work and play toy.
Is it? Awesome.
It earns its keep a little.
There he is. All right. Well, if you're okay with it, we're gonna do a few walk around.
That's fine. That's fine.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. So you said you brought this to plow with. What kind of problems are you having?
It's a solenoid. It's a bypass solenoid in a hydraulic line. We'll get it figured out.
Well, good. I know we would love to see you plow with it, and I know everybody else would too. So
Yes.
hopefully you can get that figured
I
out.
hope so.
Okay. How fast can you go in this thing, like on the road?
It's fast. It'll run. That chart says 24.8, but that's not right. It'll run about 28 or 29 mile an hour.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's fast.
I'm sure that's a heck of a ride.
It is. It's fast.
How much approximately do you know how much this thing weighs?
We've never weighed it, and we need to sometime when we got it loaded up hauling it. I'm guessing it between 45 and 50,000. It doesn't have any fluid or any ballast in it, but they're pretty heavy.
Yeah, I would imagine so. And we're here with Lori Perkins today. I'm pretty excited because we're doing kind of a show me your shed version here with Lori. Can we start off? Can you give us a little bit of background behind yourself? Where are you at? What got you into collecting, and what kind of sparked your interest in Farmalls?
Okay. Let's see. What got me into it? Met my husband 40 plus years ago. He was a farmer. I think it was probably on maybe one of our second or our third dates, quote unquote. He worked swing shift and he farmed with his dad and his brother. He works at power plant, and met him down there because I wanted to see him, and I rode on a fender of a tractor and was talking to him, and he was internationals, and I thought it was pretty cool. I grew up with a 1951 Alice Chalmers WD. She was my dad's tractor. That's what we used. With that, it was easier to clean the stalls. And then when Terry and I got married, he had international tractors. I had an Alice Chalmers. We did that antique tractor pulling for quite a while until 2019. So we did that for about 10 years. And it evolved into tractor collection, which is
that happens sometimes.
All the children for tractor pulling. My daughter, my oldest daughter, Karis, first tractor pull tractor. It was a 1944H. My father had a 44H.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so we found one. Karis wanted to pull with it. Her name was Belle. We picked her up down in Kentucky long before we knew there were other humans. And then the next one we got was Midge. She was a distillant, kerosene. So, but I painted her. My daughter likes our 350 series. Always wants my 350 and my 450. So when I went to give Belle a facelift, because she was our first one, Karis asked if I could do her tractor with a twist.
I like it.
The hairdresser and me did this tractor with a twist. So
do you paint all of these yourself?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
And this was, scary as it may be, these are rattle cans that everyone says will not last.
How long has it lasted?
That's a lie. It's Valspar paint that I used until they discontinued it. But yeah, I did rattle cans all the way up until Picker Gordy.
Okay.
So all the tractors that I'm going to show you that I did all the way up to Picker Gordy were rattle can. Valspar rattle. 90% of your work goes in before you paint it, so that. And then this is okay. His name is Ohio Ken. He came out of Ohio. Ken Tinlin rebuilt the engine in that for me. He's a 1957 350, And then we have my 450, which is Indy, my favorite plow tractor, which I will be blowing up everything on Facebook with him because he is my favorite boy. I do everything with him. I plow, I parade. He takes other people in parades. He has been on tractor drives. And I used to pull him too.
Did you?
Yes, I did pull him. So my pullers had to be able to work.
Yeah.
Yep. He was picked up with the rattle can 11 years ago. The only thing that didn't stay on was, the drawbar.
The drawbar, yep.
Okay, this is Alf. He is an International Super AI Industrial. He has the foot throttle, and he got actually open heart surgery. Ken Tinlin out of Ohio did open heart surgery and worked on his rear end area so that I could dedicate all of my energy to Fancy, the 1206, and get her ready because my deadline was half century of progress.
Okay.
This is where all of the fun happens. Here is my husband's Super H. It's a stage 1 Zim. He's got some valve sticking, so we're going to take him apart next. He's back in the facelift area, even though he doesn't need a facelift. And he will pull the head, and he's Terry Starker, so I get to help him do that, even though he helps me get mine running. But we'll work on Zim.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us today, Lori. It's really great to see all your children. We love hearing stories that people have, and it sounds like you've got a great collection and you've made some great connections with people too.
Definitely. And thank you for tolerating all of my craziness.
You're welcome. We always will. Again, we want to thank everyone for listening to season 1 and 2. We hope you join us next year for some more great Old Iron Talk episodes, and we look forward to all of our guests coming up in the future. Thanks for listening. Hey y'all, and welcome back to the Old Iron Talk podcast. Hey y'all, and welcome back to the Old Iron Talk podcast. Hey y'all, and welcome back to season 2 of Old Iron Talk. I'm your host, Callie Gurton. And I'm really excited for Brian Holst, Kurt Allman, Alan Wolf, Ladies of Steam, Tyler Montgomery, Nikki and Chris Hudson, Lori Perkins, Annika Ernstrom, Brian Baxter. We're here with Kurt Allman and Mike McLean.
So we're here with Herbert and Danny today.
And today we have a special episode from Half Century of Progress. And today we have a special episode from Classic Green. Let's get to chatting. And let's get to chatting. And get to chatting. And get to chatting. Get to chatting. So let's get to chatting. We can get to chatting. Hey y'all. Right? Like I'm starting there? Okay. I'll track you down.
Testing. No, I'm not gonna be like testing.